Howdy. I'll get my chair figured out, I swear. And it's someday, you know, crack myself up when I even started. Hi, Doug. We oh, it's going to be a good one. We have a lot of content that we're sharing. And so we spend, we literally just hung up going, oh shoot, we got to go. Because we're constantly trying to think of ways to, make this better, give you more content. Consequently, well, hello, Maurice. What a great name, Maurice Carter. That's a cool name. I like names. My mother loved names. We have the same name. Super long story. So consequently, other things suffer. We have yet to focus on clearly the backdrop and the chair and the lighting. Like that's been like, I keep going, okay, I'm going to set that up. And then I go, oh no, we should create this handout. We should do this thing. And then that's what we get focused on. So my stylist, that's another thing on the list. Clearly, like I had a friend like, this chair is making me nuts. See, oh no, I don't know if you can see that. It totally popped up. And then I sit on it and it goes, no, exercise, I'm begging you. Okay, sorry. I'm totally off on a tangent. We haven't even started yet. So sorry. Okay, let's focus in, shall we? This is why I turn off. Oh, it's not off. This is why. Let me turn it off. I turn off my mail and my social media. I try to, so that we can focus in. Because clearly I'm a child and cannot focus. Okay. First of all, I want to do a shout out. A shout out to Jorge Campos. You the man. He posted, he's a little bit confused about when he was signed up. Well, hello there, Becky. And were you able to watch, is that you, Becky? Were you able to watch yesterday, or was that yesterday? Wow, that was yesterday. It feels like a long time ago. I think you were having technical difficulties. Was that you? Okay, let me know if that was you. I hope you were able to figure it out. Hi, Brenda, screen reader, woohoo! Jorge, he was posting because he's confused. You're signed up for the 18th. If you watch this again, talking directly to you, even though you're not here. But he mentioned that he's taking notes. So smart, right? So, I just wanted to give him a shout out for that. And, for all y'all that are watch these, you should have a, one of these. This is a secret tool. Shh. And take, write the notes down. They'll all start to gel together. Hi, Don. How are ya? Good to see you guys. So yeah, so shout out to him that he's actually listening, taking notes, and he actually was like, he asked about the 5%. Yes, 5% of scripts are pretty bad, pretty awful, like don't have a clue, and 5% of scripts are blow your socks off, and everything else is in the middle. That's my experience anyway. So today, I have always, you're gonna share this, right, Doug? And then you can catch up. You missed it. You know what? We'll talk later. But you missed yesterday's screen reader. Is that what you mean? Because we accidentally didn't record that. So, but it's fine. We'll be back next Wednesday and we'll fill you in. So you're caught up. Don't worry. That wasn't you. Sorry, Becky. It was a different Becky. I didn't catch the last name. Hi, Becky. Glad it wasn't you because they were having a lot of trouble on the webinar. So glad it wasn't you. So today we're talking about writers, as you know. Well, the very first question is from Madison. Do you need to be a good writer to be a reader? Which I think I may have put that question is such a good question. I think I may have answered it in a different way. But so today I thought, you know what? Let's talk about writers, like people that write screenplays. And I say this a lot, but if you are a reader, you are a writer. It is a very specific skill set type of writing to be a reader. So it means you're able to take a screenplay, summarize that screenplay. That's believe me, in and of itself, that is a very specific task of being able to take a screenplay and tell the story of the screenplay in just a few paragraphs or maybe a page at the most, and capture the story and the structure and the characters and the dialogue and be able to get it across so someone can read that and feel like they've read the screenplay. That is a talent right there. So, and I think, no. So yeah, sorry, just seeing where I'm headed. That is a talent in itself. So yes, you do need to be a good writer to be a reader. That is actually one of the main things you need to be able to do. You need to be able to read. That's a given. But you need to be able to, that is one of the skill sets. And that to me is one of the main skill sets. Well, there's two main things that separate out the people that work a lot. One is that skill set, and the other is being nice. I know, right? But it is like, you know, good work ethic basically is being nice, being on time, being, you know, basic kindergarten skills. Like, I'm not joking. That's a hard, I laugh, but I'm not joking. That seems to be a very difficult thing for people. And just look at Facebook feeds and look at, you know, Doug and Kendra is so cute. And you know, and like I mentioned this before, but I just recently did a seminar with an agent for writers and I'm sorry, for actors and writers. And that was when I asked, what's the main thing we can do to make your job easier? And he said, be nice. Like, I didn't even finish the question before he's like, your personal skills, personal skills for 10. Like, that was like the thing. So yeah, you gotta be, you know, normal. Like, I mean, what's normal? But you need to be nice and considerate. And I mean, people are mean. Like, where it's and Doug helps me. I gotta hand it to him. I don't know what I'd do without him, because I get, and we help each other. There's times too when he's like, what do you want from me? Like, we're trying to give. It's amazing how mean people can be. So yeah, that's like one of the main skills is, you know, be nice, man. Chillax. Chillax. My son right now, he's not even here and I can feel him. Chillax. You're not cool, Mom. Okay, so the next question, Maurice, is that you that's here? Or is that a different Maurice? How much does script format different from story format? Was that you? Was it a different Maurice? Was that you? That would be nice if we actually had the person that asked the question on the webinar. That would be fabulous. Even if it's not you, you could say it is. I'm just kidding. So I'm in a mode today. I think because we had such a fun workshop yesterday. These workshops are really fun, and we only have one more. We have one more on Saturday. So Saturday at noon. If you haven't been, you need to go. They're really fun, and it's nice because it's the last live one, and we're toying with the replay idea. But it's the last one, and it's so much more fun live because I can answer your questions live. You know, yeah. So anywho, so how much does script format different from story format? Quite a bit. So if you're a book reader and you read scroll, and did you share this, Doug? Did I already say that? I did. Sorry. We were just talking about this yesterday because this is all fairly new, and so it's really fun and it's really spontaneous, and it's like, you know, then we started thinking, like, some of you know this, I used to do musical theater, and I did the same show. Well, almost always the same show, but pieces of it were the same for 4 years, 6 times a day. When you do that same show all the time, you don't even know. Your body's just doing it. And we would get off stage, and there were many times where people would be like, why are you putting that costume on? And we'd be like, isn't this where we are? They're like, no, we haven't. We've already did that number. And you'd be like, oh, shoot. Like, it's like, because you don't even, like, you can easily be thinking about, you know, something else. So we were wondering if this would ever get like that. And then just a minute ago, I'm like, did I say that already? I hope it doesn't, because, well, actually, whatever. It's a little bit different because this is live interaction, whereas that was literally, you're saying the same thing, you're doing the same thing 6 times a day, even though it switches up depending on, you know, regulars that shout out the line ahead of time or whatever, you know, there's stuff that happens, but in general, it was the same thing. So it's a whole different experience. So anyway, I'm really tangenting today. I apologize. I think it's, we had a good workshop, and this has just been really fun. So back to the question, how much does script format different from story format? So if you read a lot of books, a script is much different than a book. It's very kind of hard to describe. You have to kind of, it's such a visual, but a script shows far more than tells. It's written in present tense, first of all. It's not, you know, it's not passive writing. You shouldn't have any passive writing in a screenplay. So you don't say Joe was walking down the street or Joe walked down the street. You say Joe walks down the street. It's like you're right there with that person. I don't even think that you should do, we see Joe walking down the street, because I feel as a reader, when someone's reading that script, you want to be completely unaware of the writer. Like, that's not, you're not there to, you know, as a writer to show how smart and clever you are. You're there to introduce this story. So if you put in your descriptions, you know, things like we do this and we do that, to me, it's like the difference, if you just kind of close your eyes and visualize for a second, the difference between when you're reading a script and you see and it says, we see Joe walking down the street, it puts you back here, right? You're watching Joe over there, as opposed to Joe walks down the street. You're like kind of with Joe. That's kind of how I feel. So that's kind of one pretty major difference in writing styles between a book and a screenplay. And then also screenplay pulls out the dialogue. You never said, he said, blah, 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 blah. In a screenplay, it's like Joe, he says, Sarah, she says. So it's, you know, Joe, his line, Sarah, his line. Gotta keep smiling. Keep it up. Yay, Becky's gonna be there and she's gonna have perfect webinar, technical, smooth, because it wasn't you. Sorry. So yeah, so those are really different writing styles, right? So and I was kind of thinking about that question and thought, well, a similar thing to writing novels in the writing world of screenplays are treatments. Okay, since I'm so tangent-y today, I'm going to kind of rein it in because I could go off for a long time about treatments. Treatments are basically a novel format of a screenplay. So there's a ton of experts and people, and I kind of laugh at the expert thing at myself too. There are people, what's an expert in this field is basically people who have experience in doing things. And so there's the way that Hollywood works, the way that really, well, not everything, but Hollywood and the arts, I would say, it's so subjective, right? That there's just a bajillion ways, a bajillion different experts do it. So there is no one way, which I love that about it. It means that the opportunity skyrockets because you don't have to follow a certain path. So that means there's a million paths you can choose, which makes it so much more tangible, right? It makes it so much more doable. So share problems. So a lot of people say you should write a treatment before writing your screenplay. And I completely disagree. I think those are very different writing formats. A lot of people can't write a treatment to save their life, but they write brilliant screenplays. Treatment writing is novel writing. It's writing in a totally narrative format where you're writing it out as paragraphs as opposed to writing a little bit of action, dialogue. It's a completely different writing style. And just because you can write a brilliant screenplay doesn't mean that you can write a brilliant treatment. It's kind of like writing coverage in a way, because you're summarizing what the screenplay is about. Now, I think there's a huge opportunity if you are someone that can do that summary well of writing treatments for writers. If you want to go out, you could create a whole career on that, just writing treatments for people, of taking a screenplay and writing a treatment for them, because writers seem to think, or many writers want a treatment of their screenplay. And I did the same thing when I first started out, because I went, did what you're doing, and there were online courses to help me, but I just started reading like crazy person, kind of like I do now. Doug's always like, I'm so happy that you obsessively learn because it really helps us both. Because I'm like the podcast queen, and I'm just like a sponge. I love knowledge, I love learning, I love perspectives, I love all that. So I really think that I did the same thing when I was learning how to write, and so that was one of the things I saw everywhere is, oh, you need treatment. So I wrote a bunch of, I still have a stack of treatments. So, because I was at the time too trying to decide what I wanted to write about. So I just started writing treatments to kind of get myself going. And then I ended up picking one of the treatments, writing my first screenplay. That screenplay won a competition, ended me up at a conference where I learned what a reader was. There you go. So there was a path that worked through writing treatments, really, I never really thought about it that way, but it did. But so I have this stack of treatments. I could go in and pick any one of those treatments and then, expand that into a screenplay, which is nice, but it wasn't, no one ever read that treatment, of the treatment I wrote of that screenplay, except me. I had one director friend. It was because he was a friend, though. It wasn't like he read it because he wanted to read a treatment. And I have to say, in all the years, and I really thought about this, all of the years that I have been reading, the number of times that I've read a treatment for a production company that's looking for a project, the number of times that I've read a treatment for that, 0, never, not once. And I was really like, okay, don't lie. Like I was really going, there must have been someone. No one. I've read a lot of treatments for writers. It seems to be a process thing that a lot of writers want to do. And I think, it does give you a blueprint, but to me, so I wanted to kind of bring this out. Yeah, it is a super detailed blueprint, and Doug's right. I think that's why a lot of writers do it. But I think an outline is a far better tool than a treatment for a writer that wants to write a screenplay. And so I know that this question didn't go off on that, but I thought it was a good kind of segue, or sedgeway, as my old boss used to say. into outline. I mean, into this conversation between, and this would be a good debate, treatment versus outline. I think a treatment can kind of get you into the writing habit, which is good, but an outline is what you need in terms of if you want to map out your story ahead of time. The two things that, the two biggest problems you see with screenplays are saggy middles, kind of like with me, saggy middles and endings that fall apart. Those are the kind of the two. Most screenplays start out really strong because most writers know that those first 10 pages are, you know, make or break, and that they're excited when they get going. And boy, being able to maintain that energy is kind of amazing. Like, and we study The Wizard of Oz in our course, and one of the reasons we do that is because, man, that script, like, the stakes raise and raise and raise, and it moves and moves and moves, and that's one of the reasons it does not sag in the middle. Because they do a great job at introducing important characters in order, one at a time, where we hear their story, we move on. We hear their story, we move on. And then we don't really need, we got their backstory from their little songs that they sing, right? So it's like a really good building. And meanwhile, we've got this antagonist that's just so active, you know? So it's a brilliant script in terms of structure and formatting and all of that. Whether or not you like it, that's neither here nor there in terms of structure and style. And so, and it's also color coded in the 3-act structure. So it's a perfect tool for us to use in terms of screenplay structure. So an outline can really help with that. And we had Paul Haggis, who wrote Crash and $1 Million Baby. He came and talked to our students, and he talked about that, about how often screenplays fall apart at the end, and how he even mentioned some stuff he's watching right now and how disappointed he was at the end falling apart. So an outline, I think, is a far better tool than a treatment. And however, yes, I think, Brenda, thank you for that. She's so smart, and I can brag about her because she's a screen reader. So I talk about gatekeepers versus screen readers. We have many ways to learn. The gatekeepers are, we do these free, we will continue to do these. We do these all year long, free trainings every week where we really dive in like we're doing right now on different topics, so you can learn like that. And then in these free workshops, we give you a bunch of handouts and tools that you can use. And we constantly, and then we have the email list where we're giving you articles and more handouts. Like, we try to give away a lot of free information. We also have a paid version, which is the screen reader course. So when I refer to someone as a screen reader, that means they're in that course. So just so you know. And that, she's a super smart screen reader, so she's a new screen reader. But yes, writing out, and sometimes it's easier to figure out, to do an outline, kind of your basic outline, and then 3x5 cards, index cards, are more for scenes in general, where you might, and I love the 3x5 card way of writing, because you can write out, even if you don't know your whole story yet, you can write out scenes, ideas for scenes on 3x5 cards, and then you can literally lay them out on the table and move them around and decide kind of the arc of your story by moving around the 3x5 cards. And that is just, if you're a visual person, that is a really great way. You can do it either way. You can do the outline, kind of write out scenes, and sometimes your outline might have, you know, your basic acts, and then it might have things that happen, and then you can kind of suss it out by writing cards of what those scenes might be. Or you can go the other way, write a bunch of scenes that you want this kind of ending, you want this character, you want this subplot, but you're not quite sure how it's all going to fit together. You can put, it's giving me chills because I love this process. You want to write all this out, and then you can kind of suss it out, and then you can sort of form your outline from that, and then start writing. That, for those analytical kind of, is it left brain people, that works really well to get you started. Writing a treatment is hard. Writing is hard. Hamlet 2, you gotta see that movie. Which, well, we don't have screenreaders in here today, but I watched, I like to have movies on when I'm working. And so I was working last night on a bunch of stuff, and I had Lord of the Rings. I've never seen it, I know. Don't hate me. But we have so many students that choose it, because also in our course, you choose a film to work on, and so many people choose that one. I was like, I need to watch this so I know if they're on track. So I watched, I have 10 minutes still to go, but I almost finished it. So anyway. So that can, watching movies and like writing a treatment for those movies. Writing is hard. That's what got me there. Writing a treatment can be difficult. It can kind of, in my opinion, slow your process down in some ways. So, but it's a good format if you are a novelist. And like I said, I really think there is, yes, that's true with Doug. He's the smart one. I do think that there is an opportunity for you if you do like writing like that. High five, Martha. if you do like writing like that, it is a possible opportunity, because a lot of writers need to have that treatment, but it's hard to write a treatment. And I don't know, I think you should just write your screenplay. Just do that. Like, that's the easiest thing. I love how people say, oh, I have an idea for a screenplay. Oh, well, then you're done. And you'll get that if you start reading things. I have an idea for a screenplay. Cool. La, la, la. I don't need to hear it. Someone posted, this is one of my favorite questions. I have an idea for a screenplay. This wasn't in here, I don't think. It was in the writer's group. I have an idea for a screenplay, and it was around Thanksgiving time. And I was thinking of telling my family about my idea at Thanksgiving, but I'm afraid someone will steal it. First of all, what kind of family is that? You're afraid your brother's going to steal it? What? It was like, wait, what? And then we haven't done this for a while, Doug. We should do the whole thing about people stealing people's stuff. The times I've seen someone go, oh, that's a great idea, I think I'll steal it. That's coincides with how many times I've read a treatment for a producer. Just saying. Okay. Fabian, what is the best obstacle in becoming a writer? I love this question. What is the best obstacle in becoming a writer? I don't know, there's so many. What's the best one? Such a great way to say that. Let me choose one for you. It's actually really obvious to me. The I would think it's the worst. But I love that he puts it that way. Sunny side up, man. Yeah, fantasy is not my thing. I finally binge watched all the Harry Potter films, my son and I, because he's dating a girl that likes him. That's a good boy, right? So he's like, I better watch these. So we binge watched them together, and that was really fun, actually. Yeah, it's not and I still haven't seen, there's another big trilogy. Sorry, it's so totally escaping me right now. Yeah, I like them when they're like, I like the Star Wars movies, although I haven't even seen all of those either, to be really honest. But tomorrow I'm going to go see the new Spike Lee movie. Anywho, the best obstacle, the most obvious one, and I think it's obvious, is you are the best obstacle that you have. But I really think that's true. You are your biggest obstacle. I think maybe he meant biggest. I'm going to go with that. He meant biggest. But I love best because it's just such a positive way to say that. You are your biggest obstacle. Absolutely. By far. You are really your only obstacle. You can, because the way that we, stop ourselves is by creating other obstacles. That person and that producer, and people aren't going to read my stuff, and blah, 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 blah. It's all just, that's how people sound in my head when they make obstacles. And I do it too. It's not like believe me. And that's why it's good to have a partner, because we help each other with our obstacles. I mean, that's kind of what we do. So basically, whatever excuses you make, whatever people you see that are in your way, whatever family members are going to steal your screenplay, all the stories that we tell ourselves about the ways that we can't make something happen, that's the obstacle. Those are our biggest obstacles. And so it all kind of comes back to you and figuring out, what are the ways to get around whatever those obstacles are. It's different for everyone. Some people, they use money as an obstacle. Some people use time as an obstacle. That's a big one. Those are the two main ones, really, that people use, are time and money. Overwhelm is another one that people use as an obstacle, in terms of, and you see that, you see it, scroll through the Facebook posts, you see that one all the time. Can't you, and I love one of my favorite posts, can't you just get me a job without a lot of hassle? It is that is a big one, overwhelm. And so we love doing, if you scroll down, we have a lot of stuff on overwhelm. Yay! Healing. You are healed. Yay! No, both. They both work. I like healing. No, stick with healing. It's all about healing. Definitely. We need to heal, because that's how we get past those obstacles. So it is there's so much opportunity out there everywhere. And whatever story we're telling ourselves, if you find that you are cleaning your today's the day that I'm going to clean the grout in my kitchen tile. I'm going to take a toothbrush. Not that I know this, not that I've ever done this. And it's a true story. Should I tell this story? No, I'm not gonna tell the story. This is a better example, because it's too long. That's why I'm pretty open book, a little bit too open, I think. But cleaning the grout in your tile, you're procrastinating. This is writer's block. This is, and so now I say that, okay, I'm writer's blocking right now by cleaning your tile. If you find that today's the day you need to like clean up, even though there are some days you need to clean out the garage, whatever. I mean, we have lives, we need to take care of, mundane stuff. But if it's, your kitchen counter looks really good, but that, you want to get in there. Yeah, so it's those kind of things. And Evan Pagan, who's I'm a total geeky fan of, like James Cameron, Evan Pagan. He's a marketer, but I've learned so much from him in terms of like how to get out of your own way. And he talks about, maybe it is healing. He talks about, and James Wedmore, who's another, big geeky fan of him as well. They both talk about how we get in our own way and how you need to look at the value of what you're doing. So if there's someone else that can do whatever it is that you're doing, and we talk about this with Eisenhower's box and all kinds of productivity things, but if there's someone else, or you can, maneuver a way where you don't have to do something that's preventing you from writing, do that, because that's the thing. So is it the best use of your time? And so that's, as we grow this, we're trying to figure out what is the best use of my time, what is the best use of Doug's time, and how can we get help and all that. So, but it is like you can busy yourself to being, completely inactive, right? You hear me? I'm so busy. And it's like, you're busy doing, figure out what that is. And is that what that busyness is? Is that a thing that's keeping you from writing? And is it a thing you really need to do? And so, that's another form of self-sabotage and all those kind of fancy words for that. And so really, these are all ways that we are obstacles as writers. And you notice how none of it had to do with writing? It really, it's writing is so much a mental thing, and so much just a habit thing and all of that. And so and I didn't even get to one of the things I wanted to talk about with that, and which I put notes about and haven't even gotten there yet, is just the power of showing up. So if you just go to things, no matter where you live, there's usually some kind of, nowadays, that's a really terrible sentence. Let's talk about your Oxford comma sentences. It's only screen readers will get that. Well, no, a lot of people get that, but we had a whole conversation about Oxford comma yesterday. They go on tangents right with me. So is the power of showing up. So there's so many now, because the film industry has grown so much. There's so many film festivals that would be near you no matter where you live, at least a day trip away, where you could actually go and make a little vacation out of it. Go, if you're wanting to be a reader in other states, we always say, yeah, you can do this from anywhere, but when you do your vacation, come to LA and hook up some meetings while you're here. Go to Disneyland, go to a Dodger game, and come out to California, make some meetings while you're here. So you can have some, we recommend that. It's not absolutely necessary. Or New York, they're great vacation spots too, luckily. So you can go to a local film festival and, or you can read for contests and then go to the film festival. And usually most contests that are attached to film festivals, the upper level people that judge those contests are industry people. That's how I met them, was I won a contest and then I started meeting people. And so, but if you read for a contest, the same thing happens. You can show up and you can meet people. So it's a really great way to kind of network. It's a great way to get your name out there. It's just show up. The power of showing up is really kind of astounding. So that was kind of another sort of tangent-y but related thing in terms of obstacles, and the power of showing up. Not showing up to things is another way that we stop ourselves. It's another way of self-sabotage. So scroll, yeah. So yeah, that's my partner. Deduct that trip. So so what are some of the opportunities for readers who are also writers? And so I kind of wanted to, this kind of goes into the power of showing up. One of the things that I've talked about before, but I'm going to kind of mention here is, can you feel my temperature rise? Live. I almost said live television. It's not even television. I'm just kind of, it's like, just look at myself. So yeah, you can deduct the trip now. Okay. So is Pitch Fest. So at many at many festivals and that kind of thing, they do a thing called a Pitch Fest. And that is where writers can sit, producers come, and you can pitch your ideas. And those are a really good opportunity. And what, I think we'll do kind of there is an old Facebook Live on Pitch Fest. So that's a huge topic. And since I've been so tangent-y today, let's table that for another time. But that just showing up to things and going to Pitch Fest. Pitch Fests are actually, some people think you can get a stigma from going to Pitch Fest because you're an unknown writer. And basically it's like speed dating. All the producers or produce representatives. Sometimes it's not the actual producer. I did it as a reader a lot. You sit as, you sit behind these little tables, and then the person comes up and you literally, there's a timer on the table and you get to tell them your idea for a screenplay. And then they decide if it's something they want to see or not. So, but there's a whole, like I have a lot of tips and stuff about Pitch Fest, because from being on the other side of the table of that, wow, there's so much you can learn from that. But it's not, some people think if you do that, it's, seen as like you're an unknown writer, whatever. No, there is no stigma to that. So it's a really good way to show up and meet people and that kind of thing. So yeah, you might in the search bar, actually, if you have, and we're getting better at labeling things, but if you look in the search bar and you type in a word like, writer, well, I wouldn't do that one, but like Pitch Fest, all of the posts that have to do with Pitch Fest, as long as we say it in the post, it'll pop up. So that's why we're starting to do the writers, we're starting to do topics to make sure that you can search things out. We're learning and getting better about all that. So yeah, I would look for that one, and then we'll do another one on that. So, and then I'll have to watch. I didn't write it down. I should have wrote it down. I said it earlier. I said we should do a whole Facebook Live on this topic too. Now I can't remember what it was. So we'll look. That we'll remember. But we'll just continue answering questions. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about the actor's experience and how that relates to being a reader. And so, and then we probably should talk about connections. I already wrote the actor's thing down, because the next day I'm going to do connections, one on connections. Notebook, like Jorge. I'm writing notes like he does. So, and then we'll do one on connections. So if you have just a general topic you'd like us to talk about, we'll do that. Hi, Guy. Nice to see you. So, yeah, that's our take. That's our take 5 for today. Even though I took 4, I think. I didn't do as many because I knew they were longer topics. And we're trying to keep these to like half an hour. We want these to be a little bit shorter. So we will be, what's today? Yes, we will be back tomorrow, noon, Friday. I want to hear what movies you're going to see over the weekend. And then our last final live workshop is on Saturday. So join us for that. And then we will be posting about whether or not we're going to do a replay. So keep an eye out on that. All right? Cool. Thanks, you guys. You guys rock. Super fun. Super, super fun. Hi, Guy. Bye, Guy.